All right, welcome to this explainer. Let me ask you something. Have you ever watched someone make a terrible mistake, literally in slow motion? You know exactly what I mean. You're sitting there, looking at the evidence right in front of you, and you know exactly how it's going to end. But the person making the mistake, they just keep going. Well, today, we're tracing a doomed traveler's descent into pure madness. We're going to follow their exact steps, look at the incredibly obvious signs they ignored, and experience the escalating terror of a journey that, frankly, should have ended before it even began. By unpacking this edge-to-edge visual nightmare, we're not just going to see what happens to our last guest, we're actually going to dive into the psychology of an environment designed specifically to trap its prey. Let's get into it.
So let's just dive right into the nightmare, because the sheer unbelievable stubbornness of this traveler is on full display right from the jump. I mean, look at this. You have a massive billboard literally screaming in red and white letters, "Scary Town, don't visit this place." And right beneath that, "Leave before dark." But what's happening in the background? We're looking at the glowing red brake lights of a car that has driven straight past this giant warning sign. They're heading right down these wet, desolate streets, past that imposing clock tower, and straight toward a horrifying spectral figure standing dead in the middle of the road. The warnings literally could not be clearer, yet our traveler just pushes forward, completely defying every basic survival instinct we have as humans.
And that perfectly sets up our first phase, the ignored warnings.
Imagine actually standing at this desolate threshold. You know, in most stories, crossing a threshold leads to some grand adventure, but here, it's an inverted hero's journey. Crossing this line means certain doom. Notice the environmental storytelling happening here. The full, oppressive darkness of the woods is just pressing in on this incredibly narrow road. There's a single flickering street lamp trying its best to push back the dark, but let's be honest, it's totally losing the battle. And bathed in that weak, eerie glow is a rusted, decaying sign. But the thing that's way more terrifying than the sign is what's waiting just beyond it. That spectral figure is back, standing dead center, completely motionless. It's not attacking. Well, not yet anyway. It's simply waiting. It's like a physical manifestation of the boundary our traveler is about to foolishly cross.
The message etched onto that rusted metal is stark, undeniable, and honestly, super heavy. Turn back now. That is not a polite suggestion, okay? It's not some simple traffic advisory. It is a desperate physical plea left by whoever or whatever was there before. When an environment communicates this directly with you, you are meant to listen. But as we know, our doomed traveler totally ignores this final plea and steps entirely into the darkness.
Which pulls us right into phase 2, crossing the point of no return.
Okay, so we are absolutely no longer dealing with polite deterrence. The environment has clearly realized that this traveler won't listen to reason, so the threat rapidly escalates. We shift from a spooky warning into a fast-paced, active, predatory hunt. Just feel the sheer claustrophobia of this space. The traveler has left the open woods and is now forced into this highly restricted, enclosed, dark, decaying tunnel with old train tracks leading straight into the abyss. Notice how the environment itself is practically screaming at them now. The rusted metal signs from outside, gone, replaced by walls literally smeared with blood. And standing right there, precisely in the center of the tracks, perfectly silhouetted by the darkness, is the figure again. The traveler is literally being funneled straight into the jaws of a trap.
And the message on these walls perfectly matches the soaring, heart-pounding panic of the moment. Run, run, run. This isn't about turning back anymore. Turning back is off the table. This is about pure, desperate survival. The rhythm of this message mimics a racing heartbeat. It's frantic, it's urgent, and it tells us for sure that whatever is hunting this traveler is closing the distance fast.
This brings us to phase 3, trapped inside the haunted hospital. So the traveler actually manages to escape the tunnel, right? Only to barricade themselves inside literally the worst possible location. The frantic running stops, and it's replaced by this chilling, dead stillness. We've officially crossed into the belly of the beast. Out in the woods, there was at least the illusion of space, this false hope that maybe you could just veer off the path and escape. But now, the traveler is trapped indoors. The walls have completely closed in. Look at the setup of this cold, abandoned hospital ward. Those rusted, empty beds act as leading lines, dragging your eyes straight down the center of the room, right to that large window at the back. That window is the only source of moonlight. It's the absolute last connection to the outside world. And standing right in front of it, entirely blocking that light, is the terrifying figure. The nightmare has trapped the traveler in the room and cut off their final glimmer of hope. Now imagine the traveler, blocked by the figure at the window, turning around in absolute breath-stealing panic to look at the walls behind them.
because this is what they see. A solitary, bloody bed. A spectral, screaming face manifesting right out of the grime, and written in massive, dripping red letters, a message that proves this wasn't just some random haunting. Oh, no. This threat is, and always was, entirely personalized. I saw you. Wow. There is a striking, terrifying finality to those 3 words. This is the exact punctuation mark on the traveler's doomed journey. Think about what that means. It means the Watcher was there at the very first sign. They were observing the traveler, ignoring the warnings at the town limits. They were watching in the woods, waiting in the tunnel, and now they are in the room. The traveler finally knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that they are completely and utterly doomed.
But why? Why orchestrate this massive, elaborate trap? That brings us to our final revelation, Phase 4. The broadcaster awaits. Turns out, there is a sinister machinery at work in Scary Town. The madness doesn't just end in an abandoned hospital room. And the traveler? Well, they were nothing more than a cog meant to turn the machine. Look at this incredibly detailed, frankly terrifying skeletal figure, the Grim Reaper of Scary Town. He's draped in a black hood, eyes glowing this piercing red, reaching out with razor-sharp claws. But the real kicker is what sits right in front of him, a vintage broadcasting microphone, backed by a bloody Scary Town sign. The traveler's horrific demise wasn't just a random tragedy, it was content. It was an audio-visual broadcast produced for the twisted citizens of this nightmare realm. The ignored warnings, the frantic running, those final moments of personalized terror in the hospital, it was all just a spectacular, gruesome reality show hosted by this grim broadcaster. Which leaves us with one haunting question after unpacking this dark, twisted narrative. The broadcaster is sitting at his microphone, the signs are freshly painted on the edge of town, and the trap has been completely reset. The warnings are out there right now, waiting in the dark woods. So what about you? Will you listen to them, or will you be the next guest? Thank you so much for exploring this descent into madness with me on This Explainer. Stay curious, stay observant, and most importantly, always read the signs.